In this class we're going to talk about access to information and the dissemination of information. So we'll start by looking at accessing information. Now, ICT, Information Communications Technology, ICT has changed the way individuals and organizations collect, perceive and utilize information. So the development of information communications technology has changed the way we collect information, the way we see the information and the way we use it. So there's been quite a revolution in information processing over the early years of this century. Communication between countries and access to information has become easier as we live in societies where there is this concept of connectedness. So computer networks, the internet for example, has made communications much easier, not just within companies but within countries and globally. It's possible to communicate more efficiently, faster and in better ways, perhaps using video conferencing, than was previously the case. So all of this has meant that businesses have had to change the way they develop their corporate strategies, the way they develop and implement their plans, because information is much more readily accessible and there's much more connectedness in the marketplace. Better information is flowing around, generally speaking. Access to and exchange of information occurs through a click on a device. It's almost instantaneous, and companies that hitherto were not seen as competitors may today become competitors, even though the companies are geographically remote in different parts of the world, because customers will now be aware of them. Search engines will enable customers to find sources of supply that were hitherto unknown, and it was very unlikely that anyone would know of those companies. So the whole basis upon which business is worked out today is different to what it was in the past because of the onset of information communications technology, ICT. Now, accessing information, well, information management and its handling used to be jobs for specialists and professionals, the knowledge workers. They used to work in specialist units to manage and organize scarce information. Well, that was the case. But the tools for accessing information now are so straightforward. Search engines, specialist research engines, the use of filters on searches means that the skill set required to engage in information processing is less. A lot of the work has been done, has been pre-programmed and is made available within the network. In today's society, ICT, Information Communications Technology, plays an important role with increased tools and software. Accessing information and management of that information has become a task that all individuals can achieve. I say all, well, just about all individuals can achieve, because the systems that are available, a lot of them generally available and freely available, are so easy to use that it's possible for marketing personnel to determine who are the competitors, the products that are available in the markets, the prices that are being charged. There's a lot of information flowing around, not just for the marketing individuals, but for recruitment agencies, for training organizations. There's a lot of information, technical information in terms of engineering. There's a lot of information about suppliers and where the suppliers are located and their terms of business. And so there's a lot of information freely available, and accessing the information has become quite straightforward. ICT has enabled individuals to research and build websites and manage databases, produce blogs and newsletters and organize information. So there are a lot of tools that are available to companies to produce newsletters, to contact their customers directly, to provide feedback, and to issue notices of updates, and user manuals are made freely available online, and so on. So there's much more information flowing around compared to in the past. Now, researching information, well, researchers have a particular interest in disseminating information. Many want their accomplishments to be recognized worldwide, and there's a whole army, global army, of people who are prepared to offer advice and support. For example, in using computer systems, often individuals fall across technical problems, how to build a particular website and how to integrate something into the website. There are forums that are available, that are freely available, and experts from around the world who have encountered the problem and who are prepared to share that information, share the solution with others, make it available. So, in terms of researching a topic, researching a question, there are many people globally who will put out their expertise on the internet, their experience and how they solved the problem and what issues they encountered and so on, so that there is an enormous knowledge base available online for individuals to use. Now, this can be in many areas. It could be in business, or it could be in engineering, it can be in computing, it could be in finance, it can be in any area, just about. And this is a recent phenomenon. Well, certainly in terms of world history, it's a very recent phenomenon. But the internet, if used properly, is like an enormous resource base that can be tapped into. Journals and articles have become a sophisticated form of information transfer. Journal contains up-to-date research and information. And many journals are also available online. They may have a subscription, but even then the subscription price of online journals is a lot less than the paper equivalent, generally speaking. So there's a lot of information for people with particular interests. It could be commercial interests, or it could be hobbies, or it can be just interest in life, particular aspects of life. People who are interested in the environment or in particular species of animal or bird or fish or whatever. They could be engineers interested in particular issues. There can be all sorts of people, and there is a lot of information in terms of academic information, research information, as well as industrial practices and detailed applied information that is available. The demand for journal articles has put pressure on sourcing convenient methods of disseminating this type of information. Online journals, for example, archives, Google Scholar, and so on. Google Scholar is freely available. Simply go to that part of the Google search engine which is dedicated to academic issues, type in an academic question and see what sources of information apply to it. A very detailed search engine related to bringing back answers to very specialized and specific questions. So there are many ways in which information is put out there, put out onto the web for people to use, and there are many ways in which the users can tap into that information. Now, there are legal and confidentiality concerns that need to be addressed here. There's growing concerns regarding confidentiality, especially the information that's available on the net, and many countries, their legal systems are working hard to see what sort of remedies and what sort of security can be given to individuals regarding the confidentiality issues. People can access sensitive and personal information which makes individuals vulnerable to fraud, for example, or to unfair practices, commercial practices. Or it may even just be simply threatening and intrusive into people's personal lives. So there are legal and confidentiality issues regarding the use of computer technologies, and all the benefits of computer technologies has to be partially offset by these legal and confidentiality concerns. The American government proposed bills such as SOPA, Stop Online Privacy Act, and PIPA, Protection of Intellectual Property Act. These bills were proposed to combat some of the issues surrounding access and dissemination of information across the Internet. One of the big issues is the violation of intellectual property on the Internet. Artists, for example, who, let's say, compose a song or a piece of music and wish to benefit from the commercial success of that piece of music or that song, if that is now put online free for everyone to use, then of course the artist will not benefit. People will download it for free, which means that the artist has less incentive to write future pieces of music or to go about publishing future pieces of music. The same with Hollywood films. It costs millions to make a film, apparently, and having made it, if someone gets a copy and makes it available online free, in other words a pirated copy, then the makers of the film get no return on their investment. So presumably they're going to be more reluctant to make films in the future, which will kill the industry. So there are issues surrounding intellectual property online as well. The following information can be obtained through the Internet. It's possible to get an IP address of the computer and information about the registered user. It's possible to find out who's accessing a website. It's possible to do analytics on computer usage to see which IP address was accessing the site and for what period of time and when did they access it. It may be possible to check the IP address to find the country in which that IP address was resident or the city in which it was resident. It may even be possible with very sophisticated search routines to identify the particular computer who accessed the site, which should put off people from hacking, but hackers, people who illegally and wrongly break into other people's systems, generally speaking wrongly, these people will use more sophisticated routines to try and gain access and try to hide their IP address. Well, the fact that people are trying to hide their IP address would suggest that they're doing something wrong anyway. It may be possible to get email addresses of the user. Try to get people to email the company and in that way pick up their email address and build up a stock of email addresses of interested users, which could then be used for commercial purposes in the future. Now that is also wrong unless the person emailing it had knowledge that their email address would be used for that purpose. Otherwise they're going to receive spam email, unwarranted email they didn't require, which will block up their email system. It may be possible to work out what software is installed on a computer by accessing the computer or by looking at what information is being processed on the computer. It may be possible. Sometimes people may use spyware to try and find out what's on the computer, or key logging to see what people are typing in the computer. Now these are very intrusive pieces of software that hackers and people put on computers to spy on other people. But industrial espionage is a big business. It's a global business. Countries do it on each other. Companies do it to each other. They shouldn't do it, but we know it does happen. Information released through cookies, i.e. user access to websites, activities, login details and passwords. Cookies are small programs that websites try to put onto the computer system. Originally to try and make it easy for future use of the website, so that the cookie would help the website load more efficiently and more accurately. But unfortunately cookies were used to report back on other activities on the computer, login details, passwords, and potentially all of this is very dangerous at a time when people are using computers for banking purposes and for health reasons and so on. So it is dangerous, but unfortunately a good idea has become not such a good idea in terms of the use of cookies. The Data Protection Act. Well, the Data Protection Act 1998 protects individuals' customer personal details. Details such as employee wages, health, dress, nationality, sexual orientation, political or religious beliefs. So the Data Protection Act in the UK tries to protect individuals in all of these ways, but it's a constant problem to see if the individual is being protected or if hackers and the more criminally minded individuals who use the internet have managed to get past the systems and are simply ignoring the requirements of the law. The Act sets clear guidelines on the storage, purpose, accuracy and processing of personal data. So certainly bigger companies and reputable companies will be careful about storing information, personal information about its customers and about who accesses its website. And it'll have clear directions as to what purpose is being used to store the information, why it's been stored, and making sure that it's accurate, and making sure that it's perhaps not sold on for commercial purposes to others who will simply send spam emails or try to exploit some of the information that was collected about individuals for commercial purposes. So the Act has got a big job to do, and It's a difficult area. The Act can be applied in many forms when there is a need to protect personal data. For example, information in paper or in computer files and over the internet. So the Data Protection Act tries to protect individuals in total, but as I said, it's a very difficult situation to deal with. The Act was introduced due to concerns about the use of personal information by unauthorized users. Simply people collecting personal information about others and using it for their own benefit. It's spying on other individuals and using the information that's collected from spying to generate revenue, exploiting that information. So the Data Protection Act was used to try and protect individuals from this happening. Harm against an individual due to the existence of computerized data. Well, when data is computerized, individuals can be harmed. Information that should be confidential could be made public, and that could harm individuals. So it's important that information collected in computer systems is managed effectively, and if it's not needed, it should be deleted. If there is no good reason to keep it, then it should not be kept. Information can be misused. It's collected for one purpose. Perhaps visitors to a company website are invited to subscribe to their newsletter, so they give their email address. The company collects all the email addresses and sells them to another company who may use that information to send them unwarranted emails about their products. As I said, this is spam email. Or even worse, it could try to befriend them and then visit their homes. So it's the equivalent of cold calling. Many companies use call centers and randomly generate telephone numbers and try and sell products to people over the telephone. But nobody wanted that telephone call. Nobody requested the telephone call. It's an intrusion into people's private lives. Confidentiality within organizations. Well, maintaining confidentiality within an organization is vital. Organization process data and information about their operations and future possibilities, such as planned redundancies and new product launches. Well, companies do have secrets. And it's important that the companies are able to maintain their secrets. This is commercial secrecy. They don't want to give away their plans to their competitors. Their competitors may be overseas companies who will be only too pleased to take their market. So it's important for them to be able to maintain confidentiality. Information within an organization must be kept secure and only available to individuals who have access to the information, who have legitimate access to the information. So it must be kept secure. There must be secure methods of holding the information in computer systems. Employees must comply with company policy and laws when processing and maintaining information. So employees must follow company policy, and the company must have a policy about the information stored on its computers. And the company policy must agree with the law of the land, with the general law in the country regarding the use and abuse of the information stored on its systems, and what sort of security it can offer to individuals who may be mentioned in that information, and to ensure that the information stored on its systems is required. It's not just stored there for no purpose. So there are many issues associated with knowledge access and dissemination, and there are many parts to the topic. And these are important issues to remember when dealing with information and knowledge and the storage of knowledge and information. That's all I'm going to deal with in this session. I'm going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.